Hey guys, so I hope you saw my last video when I was talking about this annoying neighbor of mine. But I was just talking to myself in the shower like, this whole world is a fucking failure, dude. Don't get it twisted. This world is not a success, it's a failure. Why? Because right now someone's being murdered. Many people are being murdered right now, or raped, or abused, or stabbed, or shot, or bullied, or they're being born into this world by their ignorant parents. This world promotes ignorance and selfishness. Maybe not necessarily being a bad person, but it seems like the bad people in this world win. The good people don't win anything. The good people in this world are basically people who don't force people into this world. That's pretty much as good as you can get, I'd say, in my opinion. Because then you're not forcing suffering onto anyone else that didn't need it in the first place. But this society in this world promotes ignorance and selfishness, and it promotes you being a slave, obviously, to a job. All humans are doing to each other pretty much is just enslavement and forcing suffering onto each other. Are some of them forcing pleasure onto each other? Yeah, sure. But the pleasure is so short-lived that it might as well not have even been there compared to all the enslavement plus the suffering in this world. Not just the suffering, but the enslavement. You know, even if you don't suffer anything traumatic in life, at least so far, you're still a slave pretty much to money and your body and your emotions, you know, and your environment and the people around you. You have no control over that. Nobody does. Nobody does. Unless they're like a president or whatever, I don't know. But this world just promotes ignorance, you know? That's why people fucking vote for fucking people. I'm not trying to get political or anything. But I mean, come on. If you're an anti-natalist and you're self-aware, I mean, this world is a fucking joke, dude. Like I said, someone's being murdered right now. Many people are being murdered right now. Many terrible things are happening to people as I speak. And this world just promotes ignorance and selfishness, and it promotes you being a slave. It promotes you forcing more people into this dumb life that you don't even realize that you were forced into. That's the thing. Most humans don't even think of the fact that they were forced into this life. They think that, well, they just don't think that. They think that they was born into this world with a purpose, probably. All these delusions and shit. Humans have to make these delusions to cope with reality or to try to understand it. Because, you know, we don't understand what this reality is. No one really does. So yeah, we're just making this shit up to cope with reality, pretty much. And that's why most people are so dumb and they just have kids. And that's why if you ask them, why did you have kids? If they'll say like, if we didn't have kids, the human race wouldn't continue. Humans are just this fucking dumb. But at the same time, you can't be surprised because society promotes ignorance and enslavement. Society doesn't promote you to think like you don't need to have kids. No, you'll never hear that in society. Never. Like I was watching a video from Lawrence Anton and he was talking about the Jordan Peterson and Elon Musk debate. And they were fucking, those two quote unquote geniuses, if they are, they were shitting on anti-natalism. And these people are supposed to be smart, yet they're saying like anti-natalism is like satanic. Like, how is it satanic? They were basically just complaining that like antinatalism doesn't create more work slaves for them, especially for Elon Musk. You know, all he wants is more little wage slaves for his company. That's all he really wants. Basically, what they said in their fucking debate about antinatalism is absolutely garbage. So I'm not listening to those two people. I never really listened to them anyways. I don't know. But I mean, come on, antinatalism is the truth, and antinatalism shows you that you were forced into this world out of ignorance. Your parents were just as ignorant as everybody else when they forced you into this dumb failure of a world, you know? Uh, so yeah, it's true. This world promotes ignorance and enslavement. And that's all humans are really doing to each other, man. Enslaving each other into this life, into a job or whatever, and forcing suffering onto each other, and they do it with a smile. It's not like so they're bullying somebody. When I mean like forcing suffering, yeah, it means bad stuff like that, but it also means, you know, having kids, obviously. That's forcing suffering onto somebody else. They do that with a big smile on their face, you know, like, oh my god, I can't wait to have this baby. You're gonna have such a good life. You know, it's such a fucking joke, dude. But, you know, at the same time, like I said, this society promotes ignorance and it promotes you having kids. So this whole world is just a dumb trap, dude. I'm glad I see it for what it is. I'm more self-aware about this world than most human beings on the planet. And even if they woke up to this truth, they probably wouldn't accept it because most of them have kids as well. or they're just so delusional or whatever. They just wouldn't care, you know, and they would probably have more kids or whatever, you know. Or they would never admit that having kids was the worst thing they ever did. They would never admit that, you know, because it would affect their whole identity or their whole life. Because they probably think having kids is the best thing they ever did. No, it was the worst thing you ever did, you dumb bitch. Or you dumb prick. It was the worst thing you ever did. Enslaving somebody else into this life full of suffering and inevitable pain and death. And all you're doing really is just enslavement to a job and paying taxes. Yeah, there's fun in life, but no one asked to be here in the first place, you know? That's all humans are doing, enslavement and forcing suffering onto each other, man. That's what this world is. It's a fucking trap, dude. So no wonder I was born and all of us were born. Our parents were just as ignorant as everybody else. They weren't smart at all. No matter how self-accomplished your parents may seem to be, no matter how much money they got, or if they rubbed it in your faces like when you was young, like I've done this and you haven't done it, I'm better than you, little kid. They're really not that smart because they forced you into this existence, you know? They're just as ignorant as everybody else. They might just have more of like a social status than you because they got more money. But that doesn't mean anything, man. It doesn't mean anything when you're gonna die, like just like everybody else, and you force somebody else into this reality of enslavement and suffering and enslavement. That's what this reality is. So I'm kind of repeating myself. So, but yeah, so just don't be surprised when humans interact with you and they act so fucking ignorant and dumb, you know, and they don't consider your faults at all, you know, because they don't consider their child's fault when they're having kids. It's all about them. It's all about my kids are a blessing. My kid's gonna make me proud. My kid looks beautiful. It's nothing to do with the kid. It's all they're just thinking about themselves, you know? That's what humans do. They just think about themselves in pretty much every single action. So yeah, the bane, no, not the bane, but you know, the crux of like human behavior is selfishness pretty much and ignorance. Just like care about thyself or whatever, myself. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with caring for yourself, but they do it in the worst way and they have kids and shit and force somebody else into this meat body full of enslavement and suffering and pain and death, you know, and torture potentially, unfortunately, in this world. People are being tortured as I speak, and they have been for every second for who knows how long, man, centuries, because that's what this world is. Every second a being is being tortured, not just humans but animals, obviously. They're being tortured and shred to pieces and killed. Like, how do people not see this world for what it is? But, you know, it's society. Society doesn't teach you that this world is just an evil place. Yeah, it's ignorance. I mean, yeah, it's enslavement and suffering, but people just don't see enough like brutality and like nature. There's channels on YouTube where you can see like just how vicious and cruel and uncaring nature is. Like animals like hyenas will rip babies from an impala's fucking womb and eat that baby while a fucking wild dog eats the impala who's dead, who just gave birth, you know? That's how cruel nature is. So why would humans be any different? Humans are pathetic, obviously, because they can't use their own body to fucking like do shit. They have to use like tools and shit, you know. So they're pathetic in that way, but also they're pathetic because you know they're supposed to be smarter than animals, yet they still do just as bad things as animals or even worse. Exactly. So humans are the worst in my opinion. I wouldn't even consider myself a human at this point, man, because I'm more self-aware than them, and I'm not going to reproduce, obviously, and I'm not going to assume things about people like they do. It's just people are dumb, man, obviously. So yeah, I'm gonna end this video here. This society in this world promotes enslavement and suffering. They disguise the suffering as getting a job or whatever. They disguise it as enslavement, but you were enslaved. You were born into this world without your consent. It's a fucking violation. We were all born here without consent, and there's no justice for this shit. You're just a slave until you die, you know? Most parents are not gonna have like the financial means to like where you will never be a wage slave. You know, we're all gonna be wage slaves in this life. Like what the fuck, man? What the fuck is this shit? Our parents were so fucking ignorant to fucking bring us into this reality, man. So ignorant. is astounding to someone like me at this age of 23, because I see the world for what it is, you know? It's just, it's dumb. But yeah, I'm gonna end this video here, so hope you got something out of it, and peace out.